Hi, spots and cheap pops, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Silicon Steve Alley, and I'm with Vladi and Valli. The AEW Trios champs came out onto the ramp with their song. Wow, am I going to kill this?
All right, yeah. This is your review. Take it.
Well, here's the deal. They have been building, I guess, the Elite and the House of Black for weeks by just farting in the wind. That's what essentially this build has been. The build has been completely on the House of Black side, if there has been a build, with Malachi Black and the House of Black's promos, even just jumping Brandon Cutler a couple months ago on being the Elite, saying that the people he associates with is part of the problem in AEW. So the House of Black is doing their best to build this feud, and I don't know do the Elite even care? Do the Elite even know anything about it? They just look spooked out by him. I haven't heard one promo. I haven't even heard them accept the match. I know they're wrestling them at Revolution, but the Elite, have you going to put any work into this storyline? It's a joke. Not one, why would I care? And then I literally watched Rampage last Friday night just to see the face-to-face interaction between the two. And they mailed it in. Lights out. Okay, lights back on. House of Black, spooky. Lights go back out. And then they come back on and the House of Black is gone. Ooh, even more spooky, spooky. And then this week, it's pretty much the same thing, except the only difference is, I guess, this time the House of Black attacked them and put them down because all three were laid out. When the lights went out, when the lights came back on, all three members of the Elite were laid out. So we didn't even see these teams.
They wouldn't even sell any sort of violence to them.
It's like they're doing as little as possible for the rest of their contracts. They're not staying. The Elite are gone. Or why aren't you doing? Or my challenge to you: why aren't you doing anything interesting? Kenny Omega just had a great program in one of the best matches ever with Will Ospreay over in New Japan, and now you got it's like where are my promos? Where am I finding out what the Young Bucks and the Elite are all about right now, and Kenny Omega are all about right now after everything that went down? They've got to reintroduce themselves, unless they don't care. And unless they're not going to, they're not in this for the long haul, and they're just waiting for their contract to expire. Young Bucks said 6 more months. I can't believe it. And they deleted the tweet shortly after that. Kenny Omega on Renee Paquette's show just recently. He did not sound anywhere close like he wanted to stay in AEW. The Elite are not going to be in All Elite Wrestling. That is a fact. At least Kenny and Cody. That's for sure. And I don't think the Bucks are staying either. And they are mailing in the rest of their contract with some just not so great programming and not so great entertainment. Yeah, their matches are fine and their matches are good, but there's more to this than just matches, folks. And you have to touch people with the emotion, and you have to touch people here. And I think the Elite they're mailing in at this point in time. That's my opinion.
You look at it and their whole approach with this, how they're going out of how they're leaving AEW. And then you look at Jericho. What does Jericho do with his time? He just looks to go and consume more and more of it. He wants to be on camera, wants to cut promos. But you have the actual EVPs who could go and just creatively do whatever the hell they want for these segments. And as you said it, you have the House of Black carrying all the weight.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it. And it's the House of Black and the lighting director for AEW on Dynamite and Rampage. Same guy, I'm sure. So those two are the ones that are breaking their backs in this feud and in this program. And the build they give you has been nothing. The most that they interacted is what you told me they did on BTE. Yeah. So you went and promoted it more on the Young Bucks YouTube show than you did on actual TBS.
Well, no, the House of Black have cut a couple promos since then, kind of echoing that sentiment. But the thing is that was a great little seed that they planted a couple months ago, and they haven't done anything with it.
Right. So why Kenny Omega, the Buck, should be like, why would you say something like that to Brandon, if you will, and like, where's House of Black going with this? House of Black seems like they want to go rip the Band-Aid off this whole thing and take it to them. And you know what? You see the reaction with the crowd. Crowd is heavily House of Black.
Yeah, the Elite are not very popular right now because they haven't been compelling. Folks, that's the reality. Bucks, you haven't been compelling. Honestly, the Bucks haven't been compelling since Matt Jackson shook his head like this to Hangman Adam Page when Hangman beat Kenny Omega. The Bucks have been, I haven't seen people I have really revered and loved just fall off in terms of their content. All due respect to them as human beings. I like them as people, and I like their story. I think they're good people, but they don't have the heart in it. And I think once this time passes by, they're going to look back and say, our heart wasn't in it the last year we were there. They're going to come out and tell you that because it's clear as a day. And the thing is, you're cheating the fans with that. You're paid to do a job, do your job.
Paid pretty well, I'm sure.
So that's the thing. And Kenny Omega is one of the biggest and best wrestlers on the planet. He shouldn't be stuck in a trios match. I hope they do something. I'm tired of this, the underperforming. This booking now by Tony Khan is the disappointment that I'm feeling is the same disappointment you got when Vince McMahon would bring up a guy from NXT and bury him. It's the same thing. So you're not getting excited when, AEW's got somebody new. You're not getting that excited because you've seen him squander and waste momentum, talent, opportunities to make more money. He does it over and over, and he doesn't do what the fans want to see. Listen to the fans. They don't want Eddie Kingston quitting your show and quitting AEW. Granted, he went over to Ring of Honor, and now he's going to feud with Claudio. Okay, great. But Eddie Kingston was a guy who's getting reaction every time. The last guy that didn't listen to the crowd, despite great reactions, and he kept on doing it and doing it and doing it, was Vince McMahon. And we killed Vince McMahon year after year after year for doing the same thing. If we idly buy and say don't hold Tony accountable for the same reasons, then we're just the big shills like Ryan Satin on the WWE side and Meltzer on the AEW side. And that's not who we are. And Tony, get in the game. It's not hard. You just listen to the crowd.
Well, let me jump in here on that. On that note, is it really Tony, or is it like Tony? The only option really here is if they're not like wanting to do what Tony wants to do, he needs just to take them off of TV. Okay. Here you have the Trios Championship that you brought up that they went and created and avoided FTR for a tag team title match, by the way.
Yes,
so
they
then
did.
then you have this huge Trios title, which they thought was going to be like, an incredible moment in wrestling history. And then what they've given us is 7 matches with their really good friends that wrestle in a very similar style to themselves since they came back. Okay.
A couple more matches. They've had a couple more matches.
Against AR Fox and Top Flight. All right, Top Flight. But an actual program with people, like more than 2 or 3 weeks here.
No.
So they haven't done any of that. And also, they've been very quiet on the microphones, especially. It's like, hey, you're going to listen to Kansas play our song. We're going to wrestle. We're out.
Yeah, how many times? I hate Kansas now. Fuck that song at this point.
So stupid. Really.
I just remember Randy from South Park playing it for Stan when they were playing Guitar Hero and he just wanted to bust it out for real. When I lay into the land of confusion, whatever the lyric is.
Yeah, so I'm really disappointed. So it comes back to Tony should just have a real good sit down. Is like, you guys even want to be here? If you don't want to be here, we're not going to waste television time like that.
Yeah,
and just leave it at that. And you guys can ride it out, get your bodies healthy, and then that's that.
And Tony backed himself into a corner here because he backed the Elite. The Elite and everything that the Elite stood for is such a big reason why the Elite got off the ground. In fact, they are the reason. They were the foundation. Let's not forget that with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, Cody, specifically Hangman to a lesser extent. These guys helped change the entire world of professional wrestling, where it was never more exciting in probably 20 years. So with everything we're saying critical of the Elite, I always keep that in mind, that they changed the world and did something that no one else had the balls to try to do and actually do. And they did it. With that said, God, they've been horrible on television lately. Thank you so much for listening and watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. Hit the subscribe button, then please comment, share. Let's build this community, and thank you for getting us over 100 subscribers.